The Griot Podcast.
All right. I am Kofi Piesie. I am an author, a writer, up-and-coming filmmaker, content creator, publisher, and the list goes on.
Yes, sir. It's your boy Sean P from the Sean P podcast host, 5-time self-published author, public speaker, instructor, and most of foremost, a student of life.
Yes, sir. So welcome to the Griot Podcast. This is our first episode of 10 episodes, man. So appreciate y'all, man. If y'all don't mind, please like and share the show, man, and tell a friend about this podcast, man. Before we get started, I want to go through a outline, man, before we get started, so y'all kind of know exactly the format of the podcast, man. So the outlines of the Griot Podcast, every show we're gonna always open it up. We're gonna open it up and honor some type of teacher, scholar, writer, author, some revolutionary of the past. Each show we're gonna definitely talk briefly about the griots, but this show we're gonna kind of go in depth of this first episode, talking a little bit more about the griots. But each show we will definitely be briefly talking about the griots because we want people to get familiar with the griots and the griotes, right? Every show we also going to be discussing history. We're going to be sharing history from some type of book, article, or journal. Storytelling, y'all know what a griot is. Griot has many roles. We're going to get into that, but storytelling is one. So we definitely going to be giving some personal stories, you know what I'm saying, from our journeys through writing, authorship, lectures, public speaking, and etc. Music, we're going to definitely be talking about music on this podcast. Current events, we're going to be discussing current events worldwide, right? And the last segment, we always going to have a segment for the women. We're going to briefly give flowers to our women who are making major contributions, you know what I'm saying, are giving some type of value to us, right? Whether it's politically, whether it's worldwide, through the author's world, through the business world, medical world, or the academic world. So now that y'all have that out the way, before we get started too, man, so Nathan, man, you are a griot, right? Kind of, give the people before we get into it, man, what made you want to put griot into your name?
Well, I think the first time I ever even heard, and I can't remember exactly when it was as far as how many years ago it was along my studies, along my journey, but whenever I heard about what a griot was and what that represented to the tribe, to the community, as they travel, this person's sole responsibility is to keep all the tales and the records orally and otherwise. And me being a public speaker already, and then starting to get into the writing world and things like that, I was like, this is a no-brainer. I have to use this moniker more often. And unfortunately, in today's society, I never hear that term used quite often until I met a person like yourself, until I met other people we can name on other platforms. I never normally hear that term used in everyday life. So I want to bring some life back into it.
Yes, sir, man. We're gonna make this worldwide, man. We're gonna make this popular, and we consider ourselves, y'all, as modern day griots, right?
That's right.
We're gonna get into what a griot is. And even when we get into what a griot is, even in the griot culture, it has changed up some. So they had to modernize, you know what I'm saying, to keep up with the time. So some of the things that they did in the past, they no longer do. And some of the things they just modified and they updated. So, and we are a version of that. Me and Seanathan, we are modern day griots. But let's get into
Before we get going too far, Kofi, let me throw the question back in your court as far as yourself using that term. you've done some wonderful lectures I've seen on YouTube about the griots. What made you want to be a modern day griot?
Oh man, just the influence of West African culture in general, man. Me studying West African culture for the past 10 years, man, and me running across, another word for griot is jali, right? And me studying the Mandi culture or the Mali culture, right? And I started to see this terminology. And so when I started to look at the different characteristics, you know what I'm saying? I said, "Oh wow, man, I'm already embodying some of those characteristics that those griots, you know what I'm saying, have and no griot have." And that's storytelling, that's teaching, that's writing, and even being an historian, because some of the stuff that we do, we can also consider ourselves to be historians. You know what I'm saying? We're documenting information, on these channels, on these social media outlook, man. So I just wanted to embrace um that term, man, and embrace that characteristic, man, and just make it more popular, because a lot of people not talking about these women and men who serve these major roles in West African culture, man. So, like I said, I just seen myself, what I'm saying, embodying those different characteristics, man. So I just wanted to bring it to light, man. You know what I'm saying? Make everybody familiar with the terms, griot and griotis, you know what I'm saying? And make people, influence people to look at it, and become writers, because to me, it's
Yes,
important for me. I always
yes.
say, as I learn, we all learn. So information is very important. So again, like I said, the characteristics that they had, man, I wanted everybody to try to embody those characteristics, where it's a form of writing, whether it's a form of documentation of information, where it's sharing information, even music. You know what I'm saying? Which we're going to get into all of that in just a few minutes, man.
No, that's an outstanding answer. And like you said, toward the backside of that, um, a lot of people are already playing these roles and not even aware of what that even is.
Mhm.
They're just naturally doing their songwriting or comedy or journalism on these platforms and not even understanding you're already actively in that role anyway. So yeah, phenomenal answer.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So I'm gonna put this on here because we're gonna try to be organized with the show. So um we're gonna throw this up here on the screen real quick. So, like I said, we're gonna always open it up, man. Now that we got that out the way, man, we're gonna always open up, man. And this is also, we're gonna embrace the culture as much as possible, right? And we're gonna always give honors, and we're gonna always give respect. This is a part of the culture. This is a part of, like I said, the culture. So I want to honor Richard Wright, man. Richard Wright, who was a fellow Mississippian and an author who wrote drama, fiction, nonfiction, and poetry. Uh, he's the author of tons of books, but y'all may be familiar with Black Power, Black Boy, and Native Son. Native Son has been adopted into the film 3 times, once in 1951, again in 1986, and the third release in 2009. And more people may be familiar with Richard Wright film in 2009. It was viewed on HBO, man. But this is who I look up to. This is who I respect. I've been to his hometown. You know what I'm saying? This is one of my heroes, Richard Wright, man. So I want to extend honor and praises to Richard Wright. I also did a presentation on Richard Wright. Y'all go check that out on this channel, man. And y'all go do some research on our great and late ancestor, Richard Wright.
Wow, I gotta go and find the podcast myself, Kofi, and check that out, man. I'm very curious. Being a fellow writer about Richard Wright, man. So that's hot, man.
Yes, sir.
Mississippi stand up.
Yes, sir, man. I even took a picture where he grew up at. I think it's on the presentation as well, man.
Mm-hmm. And
Yes, sir.
just to add a little caveat to this conversation on Richard Wright and his books becoming film, you and I had talked earlier this morning, a matter of hours ago, about whenever your book becomes film, sometimes things are modified whenever they adapt it like that. So I would love to read that book and then watch those films to see where they, took certain turns and where they deviated from the actual writing. That'd be interesting to see.
Oh, you'll definitely see it in the 2019 film on HBO. You know what I'm saying?
I'm
They
going to check that out.
definitely modified it.
Okay,
Yup.
okay. So for my opening honors, I would like to highlight the activist and comedian Dick Gregory. So once again, when we think about the griots in society at times, we place them in one box and forget there are a wide range of roles in being a griot, right? So that being once again storytelling, sometimes through comedy, through dance, through music, and other forms as well. So Dick Gregory is an American comedian, civil rights activist, and a nutritionist. He was born in October 12, 1932 in St. Louis, Missouri, Midwest. Passed away August 19, 2017 at the age of 84. Remember for his satirical humor, political activism, and advocacy for healthy eating. Dick Gregory is a very prominent civil rights activist, man. So using his comedic talents to shed light on injustices faced by African Americans. That's a good example of him being a griot using the vehicle of comedy to shed light on political, serious matters. He was always marching, always protesting, always leading these big, huge public fasting situations where they were fasting as a form of protest to get certain things done. So I wanted to highlight and give honor and respect to Dick Gregory.
No doubt, man. Honor and respect, man, to the late great elder. Dick Gregory, man. I hate that I got turned on to him too late. I actually
Me
got
too.
turned
Me
on to
too.
him, man, a
Me
few
too.
years after a few years before he had transition, man. So
So did I. So
right.
did I. And this is another little small caveat, a little tidbit. If you ever watch Dick Gregory interviews, man, you a journalist, I'm a journalist, we host shows. I feel sorry for those interviewers every time, man, because Dick Gregory let them have it, bro.
Yes,
If
sir.
you ask that man the wrong kind of question, he gonna let you have it in real time, man. I always enjoy his interviews.
Yes, sir. Yes, me as well. Me as well. But again, man, honor. We extend honor and praises to both of the late great ancestors. So now we're going to get into a griot. This is another section of the Griot podcast, and this is the only show, episode one, where we're going to deal in a little deeper of what a griot and a grioti is. A griot is the male, and the grioti is the female, right? So we're going to dig into that just a little bit, but each episode we're going to continue to talk about the griot and the grioti, but it's only going to be briefly. But today we're going to go a little bit of deep for y'all, okay? So a griot today lives in many parts of West Africa and are present among the Mandi people, the Mandinka, the Malinki, the Bambara, the Fula, the Hassa, the Sogai, the Wolof, the Siri, the Masi, the Dogama, the Mediterranean Arabs, and many other small groups. The word may derive from French translation grioti, or the Portuguese word grioti, or the masculine similar term of servant. Griot are more predominantly in the northern portion of West Africa. In African language, griots are referred to by a number of names. Jali in northern Mandi area, Jali in southern Mandi area, Jul in Wolof, Galo in Polor, Fula, the Igawini, griots forms of the enormous caste, meaning the most of them only marry fellow griots, and those who are not griots do not typically perform the same functions the griots perform, right? So they marry in. So they marry in, and you are a griot by birth. You know, you definitely are a griot by birth, and you marry into formerly griots. What is a griot? A unique Western Africa, and you mean unique to West Africa. The griot or Jali profession encompass many roles. Griot, pronounced griot, have been referred to as historians and storytellers, but there is no real word in the English language that includes all of their functions because they do have multiple, many, many roles that the griots serve, and they are very important. And they mention the word servants. They are correct. They are servants to their community, right? So it says a traditional griot could do everything from recounting history to composing music. to teaching students to acting as a diplomat. There are genealogically historians, spokespersons, ambassadors, musicians, teachers, warriors, interpreters, praise singers, masters of ceremonies, warriors, negotiators, and mediators, also comedics. It says warriors. So a lot of us don't know that a lot of the griots serve also as a role as a warrior, right? Not every griot does all these things, but these are all examples of the functions of the griot professional embodied. And I should have changed it over here for y'all was able to see where I was reading it. All right. All right, it's on you, Sean. Your mic muted.
Let me try to do the ladies justice with the griots, right? So the griots, both women and men can be griots. Yet traditional gender bias had delegated female griots or griots to a lesser known status. Griots and griots are trained in the same way. Though griots tend to learn more from other women, traditionally, griots specialize in history conveyed through spoken word, while griots focus on praise through song. Griots specialize in singing. Often men and women perform together, with the griot playing the kora and the griot singing. Traditionally, women do not play instruments like the kora or the drums, but sing instead. Lately, however, the difference between men and women griots have begun to blur. Exceptionally talented women can become master griots as well once they reach middle age. The griot is a female storyteller. She traditionally sings at ceremonies, celebrations, and special occasions. When a woman is married, a griot will sing to her to prepare her for her new life. West African women sing about women's roles in the society and their relationships with the husband and in-laws. Griots also use song to express their independence and self-reliance or to give comfort, encouragement, and empowerment to other women. The sabi is a long poetic narrative form sung by West African women to reveal the nature of relationships between men and women.
All right.
So
So,
I
oh,
want
go
to,
ahead. Go ahead.
yeah, I just want to say one thing real fast. I'm glad that you are such a scholar that you are, and you have studied these languages and pronunciations and traditions because people sometimes here in the U.S. want to argue and debate about, well, no, it's called the griot and not griot, or it's called this and not that. We see there are so many vast enunciations and pronunciations. You can't really go back and forth and debate somebody on how they're saying it, right?
Mm-hmm. Definitely. And I want to point out where the griot and the griot is musicians. They serve the role as musicians, right? And the griots, as you stated, are praise singers, and the griots, they play instruments, right? And two of the popular ones are the kora, which you mentioned, and another one is the balafon. So a lot of times, if you ever see a West African griot, you will see him, if he has an instrument, you will see him with a kora or you will see him with a balafon, right? Um, and if you see both that's in a setting of playing music or spoken word, you will see the griot is singing or praise dancing, and you will see the griot who is playing the kora or playing the balafon, right?
Yes,
Uh,
sir.
1,000 years later, new stories about the new triumphs and new adventures are still being told by the village's griots. They continue to play an important role in the modern West African society, but the griot's position in African societies has changed. These performers are still great demands to conduct ceremonies and the parties, but today they also are popular singers who reinterpret traditional songs and perform on television and radio and record CDs. And I just spoke about that. They have become more modernized. Some of the
Modernized, yep.
things that they did in the past, they updated it, you know what I'm saying? They modernized, and some things they no longer are doing because they have become obsolete or outdated.
Yes.
So I appreciate those griots, you know what I'm saying? Because a lot of, you hear a lot of our people saying, "Oh, why are you following this and that? That's outdated. We're no longer doing that. We no longer dressing like that. We no longer live in that certain area." So they are modifying themselves. That's why they have birthed, me as such as Brother Seanathan, as many others who have become modernized griots. And even those West African griots today have also become modern day griots, right?
Yeah.
Griots Griots are often the narrators in African films and explain and comment on the actions or set of the stage before the tales are being told.
Hmm.
Despite the changes in their duties, they continue to be respected members of the West African culture and provide a strong link to the past. They continue to be historians, genealogists, advisors to nobilities, entertainers, messengers, and praise singers in the community.
Yes. Yes.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
So there
I
you
want
have
to I want to spotlight something too, Kofi, that you said in your part about the griots, right?
it.
How they're born into it.
Yes, sir.
I think it's very important to highlight they're born into that role.
Mhm.
From birth, they're groomed into it, right?
Yes,
And we
sir.
live here in the West, in America in particular, where I want to say the word fortunately, but unfortunately, kids are taught to be anything they want to be, do what you want to do, it don't really matter. And it's not really a thing of a child being groomed into a certain particular thing to live up to. I think there's something to be said about that, man, in today's society.
Yes, yes, sir, man. And that's why for me, I think that the rites of passages are,
Yes, bro.
very,
Yes.
very important
Missing. It's
because right
missing.
is missing.
Missing.
So
Missing.
that's why I created the Ubuntu youth, and right now we in developments now of recreating and modifying the rites of passage. So we're gonna have some rites of passage. I know I spoke about the music program. We're still gonna have the music program, but we definitely venturing into another avenue, bringing these rites of passages and modernizing them. You know what I'm saying? So we can develop, our kids at at an early age, man, at
I
an early
wanna
stage.
I wanna share something real quick, Kofi. Last night I'm reading the biography of Geronimo Pratt, the Black Panther, right?
Mhm.
He said when he graduated high school, he actually had prominent football scholarships, right? At the time. He also had other opportunities too. But the old school black men in the community here in Louisiana, where I am, it's called Morgan City, Louisiana, to be specific, the city he was in.
Mhm.
They had the old deacons of defense back
Oh,
then
yes, sir. Yes,
to
sir.
fight against the KKK and other white supremacist groups. He
Mhm,
said the day before he graduated high school, they put him in a barber shop and gave him all his history
mhm,
and tradition around the country, what was going on as far as injustices.
mhm.
And he pretty much was groomed to be the Black Panther he became ultimately. From a high school age, the OGs took it and they was like, look, we getting older, we dying off, we don't
Mhm,
have as much zest and zeal as we used to. We need a new crop of young black men to come and protect the community.
mhm.
That's how Geronimo Pratt became ultimately Geronimo Pratt. And I'll leave
Uh,
it at that.
yes, sir. And a lot of people need to go look at the Deacon Defense. I'll be honest, about I'm gonna say about 6 or 7 years ago, I learned about the Deacon of Defense. I went to Natchez, Mississippi, which is not that far from me. Also, where Richard Wright also resided as well. He has a marker down there in Natchez as well, Richard Wright, right? And I went to a museum down there, and it's so much history uh, in Mississippi, and there's so much history right there in Natchez that's also dealing with the Deacon of Defense. So I bought a book about the Deacon of Defense out of there. And I also even talked and even challenged people, and you just kind of verified that for me. Like before you got to a Black Panther with these strong black men with these black berets and all black and black soldier boots on, toting these rifles, you had people right here in Mississippi, the Deacon of Defense in Natchez, as well as Louisiana, who also ventured into LA,
Well,
who
Kofi,
also go ahead.
And that's the master question. Where was Huey P. Newton from?
I forgot.
People always assume he was from California out there in Oakland.
Yeah,
they started the Panther Party in Oakland.
Mhm.
Huey P. Newton is from Shreveport, Louisiana.
That's right. He definitely. That's
he was born and raised.
That's
he,
right.
he was born in Shreveport, Louisiana. His people are from Louisiana, so they had that that self-defense mentality already here in the South. You know what I'm saying? They got a book called A Negro with Guns. It's a very good book.
Yes, sir.
You gotta go and get that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's a book out there in North Carolina, I believe. And also is the book called This Nonviolent Stuff Will Get You Killed. And all these books are about these groups that was all about self-defense and, you know, defending the community and things like that, man. I know we're not getting off topic, but it's still on the same topic of being groomed for a certain role is the actual point I'm trying to make.
Yes, sir.
Being groomed, being taught, and having that responsibility for the community over your individual self. That's the main point I'm trying to make.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, man. Oh, but let's get into the history part, man. Because if we can kind of talk about this, we go with this all day. Because I want to actually, I want to kind of go down a little bit more, but we don't want to get too far.
Good.
Oh yeah, yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We got 9 more shows, baby. 9 more shows.
Yes, sir. But y'all go check out the Deacon of Defense. Y'all go research the Deacon of Defense. All right. So this portion of the show is history, right? So Sean, I'm gonna let you take it away, man, on your part on the history.
All right. So today's topic in history, I want to go to something that I learned about this past week. It's an African American orphanage, also known as the Colored Orphan Asylum. Was a residential institution for African American orphans in New York City. It was established in 1836 by the New York Association for the Benefits of Colored Orphans and was located in Manhattan until 1863, when it was relocated to 44th Street in the Bronx. After the Civil War on July 13, 1863, during the New York City draft riots, I'm going to say this again, the New York City draft riots is important. A white mob attacked and burned down the orphanage. The building was set on fire, and the children and the staff were forced to flee for their lives. Although some people were able to escape, others were injured and killed in the violence. The attack on the orphanage was part of a larger wave of violence and destruction that swept through the city during the draft riots. The riots were sparked by the opposition to the military draft, which was seen as unfair and unjust by many working-class New Yorkers. I want to specify many white working-class New Yorkers. During the burning of the African-American orphanage was a tragic event that highlighted the deep racial tensions and inequality that persisted in the United States after the Civil War. Despite the devastation caused by the riot, the New York Association of the Benefits of Colored Orphans was able to rebuild the orphanage and continue providing care and support to African-American children in need. Now, I want to see why I emphasize that, Kofi, and to the family. I'm reading right now W.E.B. Du Bois' Black Reconstruction. In the chapter I was reading just recently, like chapter 5 or chapter 6, they talk about all the white people in the North. Whenever they realized the Civil War was about to kick off and going to happen, we always told that false history, like the North came down to the South, had the Civil War, emancipated us, and now we got free, as if they wanted to do that. So many of these white people in the North did not want to fight in this fight for us. They did not want to fight to free. They didn't care about no slaves. They didn't care about people of color, right? So they had all these riots all over the country, not just New York. And they were killing, raping, maiming black people.
Yes, sir.
In the North. Let's not forget that. In the North. It wasn't all peachy keen. They wasn't like warm, welcoming, accepting us. They was killing us left and right because they was upset and they was mad that they had to go and fight in the war. Yes, so those draft riots are important to highlight, and that's my statement for the history.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now we're gonna go into the storytelling section part of the podcast, and these storytellers are gonna kind of be some of our personal experiences, right? And we're following the format for people that may not know. We are griots. So we're following that formula of the Griots, the characteristics of the Griot. So you can kind of see what each stage that we going into is a role that a Griot fulfill or a Grioti fulfill. So I want to go into the storytelling, right? So I'm gonna give y'all a story, right? Personal story for me. This is a story of determination. This is a story of dedication, perseverance. You know what I'm saying? A will to not give up. Right. So I want to talk about this story. Just something real quick, man. This is everybody know that 2020, and during the pandemic, and so Kofi Pice, our research team, we got together. We put out our first book. Spears of the Mossy was the first book we put out. And we have been doing presentations for so long, right? And me and Sean started, Sean created his blog site. I created a blog site. We wrote a few articles. So collectively together, we got together to put out our first publication, right? And through us putting out that first publication, right, man, I almost pulled my hair out, right? And there were so many people who were wanting so many people in the beginning saying they was going to help us, right? Because this is our first book. We don't know nothing about publishing a book. We don't know nothing about organizing and formatting the book. We don't know what a layout of the book look like. We don't know none of these things. We don't know the ins and the outs, right? So through us reaching out to people, we got some no's. We got some people disappointing us. We got some people not responding back, right? So, we began, putting in the hours, man, and doing the research on our own, man. And you know, and we put out our first book, man, Spears of the Mossy, man. And just through us not giving, I just want to just highlight, man, that you don't get discouraged. Don't get discouraged when you have an ideal or something that you want to do that some people may have experience in, right? And certain people you're going to be around people who are going to sell you basically a dream. You're going to be around people who are going to deny you access to information. You're going to be around people who are jealous of you, right? You're going to be around people who are going to not be a man or a woman of their word, right? You're going to be around people who's not going to accept your phone calls, right? But if you believe in something, you got to continue to keep going. You got to stay dedicated, right? You got to stay determined, right? You got to keep you got to keep your tunnel vision, and you got to look at everything as a blessing. Y'all hear me talk about denying access to information is a blessing, right? People telling you no is a blessing, right? So if we collectively, Kofi Pice, our research team, would have just got discouraged because we had people not answering our phone calls, we had people not responding back to us, we had people telling us no, we had people denying us to certain access to certain things, right? But if we wouldn't have stayed 10 toes down, dedicated, determined, and believing in ourselves, man, we wouldn't have never been able to put out Spears of the Mossy, a historical survey in the minds of African warrior scholars, volume 1, which now has become 5 volumes. So we have 5 books, man. So again, man, stay determined, right? And don't let nothing discourage you. Those things can also be a blessing in disguise for you, because that was a blessing that we didn't want to discourage. We put out that book, and now we have 5 volumes out. So there is my storytelling for today.
Now, hold on, before I transition, Kobe, let me ask you one little question, right? Being a journalist that I am.
Go ahead.
So you have been doing lectures for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And me, I want to say this on the mic in front of everybody. I was a long time fan of Kofi Piesie before we ever spoke directly. I was just a YouTube fan of the brother before we ever linked up. But anyway, when you finally started writing the book, the first book, how did you feel different writing that first book versus all the lectures you had been doing and things on YouTube before? What was the transition, or what was the difference for you in that writing?
Oh man, it was it was hard, because I could do a PowerPoint in my sleep. I've been doing PowerPoint lectures, man, since 2016, always following up into 2020. But going into writing a book, the process for writing a book is definitely different than a process of putting together a PowerPoint presentation. Even though the PowerPoints made it a little bit easier for all of us, because I go back, that's what I said. I need to make a video about how I was able, or how we was able to put out multiple publications. And a lot of it was through the PowerPoints that we did, the research that we did. So the PowerPoints helped out, but going into writing a book, you know what I'm saying, and publishing a book, man, that was very nerve wracking for me. And that, and it was nerve wracking for me because uh we're gonna try to reach another audience. We already had one audience far as the social media, but now we're venturing into another world. We're venturing into the book world. So I was nervous about how people are gonna receive us, you know what I'm saying, in the book world, for as writing a book. So my approach for writing a book was different than writing an article. My approach for writing a book was different than putting together a PowerPoint presentation. And there's more work into putting a publication out versus putting some slides together, clicking the camera on, and reciting a couple of slides from off of PowerPoint.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Phenomenal answer, man. I appreciate that. Thanks for that.
Sir,
When it comes to
you want me to throw it back up here real quick?
yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah, when it comes to my storytelling story, I'm gonna go straight off the dome with this. I'm talking about the first time I ever interviewed Dr. Imani Perry. For those that don't know, the sister is the best-selling author of numerous publications at this point. But my point in highlighting the storytelling right now is we're talking about being griots and the many roles that play. And Kofi's a host of journalism and everything. I'm a host as well. I want to highlight how being a journalist and constructing these questions, you're still doing storytelling in a different format. Mm-hmm. Because to host an interview properly, you got to still ask the questions in a certain particular order that lead the audience from the beginning, middle to a conclusion. So we still are storytelling in the middle of asking these questions, in the middle of us setting up these interviews, the research process. People don't realize to do an hour show or 45-minute show, you're doing days of research, hours of reading, listening to podcasts, everything else you're doing to gather your questions for this moment. So you're still constructing something. It's not just putting the camera on and just on the top of your head asking questions. You're really doing the whole process. So it's still a major storytelling aspect to being a journalist. I take my journalism as serious as my actual writing and everything like that. I'm sure Kofi does as well, man. So I just wanted to highlight in that storytelling portion, the storytelling aspect of journalism.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, you definitely, you definitely take your journalism serious as well as me, man. But you definitely take it serious, and you're doing some great things, man, on your Instagram page, man. On your Instagram page. So this next section, man, is music, right? So we want to talk about music, right? So and it's crazy. And I'm gonna tell you, man, like we talk, we didn't develop a friendship, right? And I don't call everybody my friend, bro. I'm gonna keep it 1,000, right? So I don't use the word friend loosely. I don't use the word brother loosely, right? And we didn't develop a great friendship, a great bond. I consider you a friend. I don't know if you consider me. I know you consider me a friend, because if I didn't, we wouldn't talk. We talk basically every day, right? And it's crazy how a lot of our ideals are similar, the same. You can throw something out, I'd be like, well, damn, I was just thinking about that, or I was just doing it. And it's like vice versa. It's like we just mesh together, we sync together. And I was looking, I said, damn, it seems like every time we talk about something, it's something that he does on his channel that I'm finna get ready to do. I mean, something that he does on his Instagram page, I'm finna get ready to speak about on my Instagram page. You know what I'm saying? Or I'll do something that I'll see you. I said, damn, it's just like we just in sync, right? So I was looking at this when we got ready to do the music part, when you sung my part back, and I picked a producer. I picked Jermaine Dupri, and I said, damn, he went and he picked um Swizz Beatz, right? So today we're gonna talk about I'm gonna talk about what first I want to talk about Jermaine Dupri and Currency new album. I want to highlight this album. This album is called For Motivational Use Only. Volume 1 release. This was released April the 4th, 2023 on Jet Light Recording / So Def. So this was released it on both of their imprints, man. And I just love the title of the title For Motivational Use only, right? The track list is Jet, Essence Fest, Never Enough, Off the Lot featuring 2 Chainz, Screen Falling, Never Fall Off, Fortune 500, right? Um, this is a great album, and it seems like I don't know what you think, man. You think that the days of the 19 and 20 track list is over? Because even I looked at your ones when we get to your ones on the Swizz Beatz album. You know what I'm saying, for the hip hop 50s, right? It also has a short, track list, and I'm starting to see that now.
I want to chime in if I may. I've been noticing for about 5 years or more, give or take, that there was the old Pusha T album that came out years ago. Might have had 7 tracks.
Yeah,
there have been Nas albums that had 6, 7 tracks. Mm-hmm. We can name multiple people that have albums that only have 6, 7, 5 tracks. Mm-hmm. So just like in the book world, to put it together, in the book world, we see people making smaller projects because in today's society, we have a microwave attention span, fast attention span. So people not really reading 700, 800-page books no more. Same thing in the music world. It's easier to play a 7-track album. That's 30 minutes of music, give or take, and play it multiple times versus in the old days, you had 15, 20-something tracks. It take a longer time to go through that whole body of work multiple times. Mm-hmm. Now, in the old days, Kofi, you know this, music came out on Tuesdays. Mm-hmm. That's it. Mm-hmm. So for the whole week being in the South, I'm playing Master P all week at least until next Tuesday whenever Cash Money drops up. But now, music come out instantly. If Kanye West tonight at 1 o'clock in the morning want to drop something, he just drop it. Mm-hmm. So as consumers, we got to take it so much faster now. I can't really sit for 7 days and enjoy Kanye West album. Certain tracks I don't really care for, then it grow on me. It's 4 days later. Mm-hmm. Now it's like I played the 7 tracks, and the next thing that came out, I'm on to something else. So I think it's kind of sort of the tale of the times, Kofi, and where we're going with society right now.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Because you definitely hit it. We are definitely in the microwave age, man, and everybody want things instantly, and everybody attention span is getting shorter, and shorter. And this seems like the less is creating the biggest impact. Like you look on Instagram, people that put up these 30-second and 60-second reels, they going viral because it's catching the attention of the people. Again, because we have developed a short span. Go ahead.
Let me tell you something I came up with many years before they had TikTok and before they had, what was it called? Snapchat and all that, stories and all that, 30-second little things. A main format for me making videos in the old Facebook days, if a person can't watch my video while they're on a toilet, it's too long.
Okay.
Naturally, I love to talk. I love to give information. I can easily go and do an old school Dr. Clark 3 hour, 4 hour. But I said, nah, if a person can't listen to what I'm saying while they're using the bathroom, I didn't say it too much. Yeah. So you see my videos now recently, even on my Sean P page on Instagram, I try to go in there, hit a topic and get up out of there.
Yeah.
I'm not going to stay for a long time. And I'll be doing an interview that's different. But as far as my individual Sean P videos, I'm doing 10 minutes, 12 minutes, 7 minutes. I'm getting up out of there because I know we're in a whole different format right now.
Yep. And I'm long-winded, so I try to do the same thing on my Instagram page. I try to do no longer than 10 minutes, 8 minutes at the most. I try to get off there. And then you hear, we'll go on out, but I just want to highlight that too, where, when you talked about the book world. So we in the music, but we were talking about how the track list is getting shorter and shorter, right? And so we mentioned the reels, even you mentioned the books, right? And so I'm gonna ask you, so does that make me less of an author if I put out a book that I hadn't, but I may in the future, if I put out a book with 75 pages, is that considered does that make me less of an author? Because the reason why I'm asking that is because in a certain space that I no longer want to associate myself with in this space, they begins to talk down on individuals that may have 60, 70. Oh, that's a pamphlet. They down talk the work that these individuals put in because they don't have 150, 200 to 500 page book. You know what I'm saying? So, what's your thoughts on that, man?
Well, let me say it like this, Kofi. That particular group you're talking about, that particular circle, that time frame you're talking about, once again, we are talking about people we're unicorns, but we're aliens. We'll read Dr. Chancellor Williams' big old book, Dr. Sheikh Anta Diop. We're reading all these old scholars, right? Ivan Van Sertima. But we live in a different society right now, a different day, and we got to bring that thing down, man, because not many people are going to digest publications of that density and that length. I'm going to say it again. The depth they was writing in and the length they was writing in, not many folks going to do that anymore, right? So I'm going to do a parallel with this, Kofi. The same thing with the church world and the lecturing world. It was nothing for Dr. Clark to go and do an hour and a half talking. And look what he going to say, Kofi. And now we're going to begin. You be like, what? You did an hour and a half talking, and now we're going to begin. What the last hour and a half was? But that was normal back then.
Yeah.
But now, you do 30 to 45 minutes on that stage, man, they're ready to go. They're ready to get up out of there. Mm-hmm. So my last 4 books, I'm aiming at 75 pages or less. Mm-hmm. I'm going into it thinking 75 pages or less. I'm not trying to do 250. I don't want to do 320. I'm trying on purpose. Matter of fact, my first book, What's Your Kick, is 152 pages. That was an accident, Kofi. Because as you know, being a writer, when you're writing something in a Word document, when you put into a book format, it double up.
Yes, sir.
When I was a rookie, I didn't know that.
Yes, sir.
So I tried to write What's Your Kick in that 70-something page range, not knowing it's going to convert over. Now I'm at 150-something. Mm-hmm. Total accident. Mm-hmm. So I'm aiming at making short projects on purpose, and I try to always encourage my fellow writing brothers, man, you got a 400-page book, make 2 books. Mm-hmm. Make like you do, make volumes. Right. Volume 1, volume 2, you doing that. Mm-hmm. Make volumes. Don't just try to bust them in the head with 400 pages, man. Right. And on the production side, it's more cost effective on you.
Yes, sir. Oh, yes, definitely.
My book being 150, it cost me $2.53 specifically to make What's Your Kick. Mm-hmm. To produce one book is $2.53. Mm-hmm. If your book 400 pages, it's costing you $4, $5, $6 to make one book. Mm-hmm. So now you got to charge so much more to make a profit. Mm-hmm. That's just mathematics, man.
It done all went up. It's more than that now, Sean. It is. Yep. The cost of paper, the cost of glue, all that stuff. Yep. So it definitely done. And maybe, we'll come back sometime, in the future, and we'll talk about, all of these things because, it's in the realm of what we do. You know what I'm saying? So we'll definitely come back, man, and talk about it. But there you have it. He said, it does not make you less of an author to have a book up under 100 and some pages.
I'm gonna tell you in 20 seconds, Kofi. The reason why I became an author, I went to the Hidden Colors Part 2 movie premiere in Texas, right? I think it was in Houston that time. And they had a big old thing in the front, all the vendors selling their stuff, right? And the brother had a table full of books. I'm like, wow. So my homeboy I went with, he bought 4 or 5 of the dude books. And we drove off and left. I picked the book up and started flipping through, and I realized something, Kofi. It was like 40 pages, 50 pages, 70 pages. And that's whenever I realized that particular night. Hold on, wait a minute. There is no actual page limit on what constitutes a book. Mm-hmm. That's enough. I got real brave to go out there and write.
Yep. Yes, sir. And I'm finna dial it down myself with it because it was brung to my attention with my and I think it's a 200 some page book. I can't remember my latest book, Africa's Hair, doing before and after slavery, and the different markets that I'm venturing in, far as the hair world, and one of the instructors said, man, this is a great piece of work. He read it, and even another instructor, Sister Ladosha, um, she had a great piece of work, but both of them saying that they wish it would have been a little less, paid. It wouldn't have been 200 pages. You wish the book would have been less, 100 or up under 100 pages. That would have made it great because they understand the space that we are in also as well.
Man, in that hair world, they busy, bro.
Mm-hmm.
They doing so many appointments, so many heads, so many. Man, in the hair world, it's not common. I mean, it's not uncommon for a female to kind of not have her own hair done. She doing so many heads, you know what I'm saying? So she ain't reading 200-something pages, man.
Yes, sir.
It's not likely.
Yep. But go ahead, man. Your section, man, with Swish, our brother Swizz Beatz.
You got the
Zemo.
The slide on that?
Okay.
You throw it up, please.
Yeah, I got it.
But no, I just want to talk about Swizz Beatz' brand new album. Swizz Beatz got a track in particular that the reason why I went to it. Swizz Beatz have an album he just dropped, right? And he has a song with my brother Jay Electronica. Of course, Jay Electronica right there from New Orleans, down the highway, Louisiana native, Louisiana owned. But then I realized I was going there for that one track. I thought he was releasing like a one track thing. I didn't realize he had a whole album he came out with 2 weeks ago. Swizz Beatz, brand new album, got a song called Runaway with Nas. It's hot. This shit right here with Lil Wayne, that's cool. Take 'em Out, featuring Jada Kiss, Benny the Butcher, and Scarlett. It's a fire track. City Sound Like, featuring 5-0 Foreign and Bando, Morel, Say Less with Lil Durk, and A Boogie with the Hoodie. And like I just said, the song Colossus, featuring Jay Electronica. I'm an incredible Jay Electronica fan, always have been. So whenever his name come up in the conversation, I'm always go straight to it immediately. I want to hear everything that man got to say. I love Jay Electronica. So yeah, go out there and get that Swizz Beatz. He a soldier in the game. He been for a long time. 20+ year run. Jermaine Dupri, 20-30+ year run. So these guys have longevity in song creation, production, writing, artists, you name it. So they are modern day griots within their own right in the music world.
Oh yes, sir. Yes, sir, man. And if you looked at the first track list that Swizz had, Jay Electronica wasn't on there. You know that? If you look at, he wasn't on there. And Swizz said that Jay had to had called him. Hey, he wanted to be on it. I want to be, I want to be on the album or whatever. Say he was somewhere in Egypt, somewhere.
Yeah, no one here.
Recorded it and sent it back. But yeah,
he don't mind going off the grid. He don't mind getting off the grid.
Oh yes, sir.
He don't mind at all unplugging.
Yes, sir.
That's his intelligent first, man.
Yeah, very intelligent brother, man. I like Jay Electronica. I just wish he would put out more music, man. I think the last thing he put out was maybe about 3 or 4 years ago with Jay-Z.
Him and Jay-Z.
And we hadn't gotten in it. This, I guess, the first thing we done, heard from him since that album is on Swizz Beatz album, man. So,
yeah. And he don't mind. This is a highlighter real quick. He don't mind, like, you an artist yourself, Kofi. You a writer and everything else. To put all this information and knowledge into a palatable track is difficult, bro. To put all these things with the Nation of Islam and everything else he putting into the track and making it sound good is not easy to do. So him doing that, man, I think is incredible. I love it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Let's see. Hold on, y'all.
Yep.
All right, we're gonna go into this other section of the show. Where is it? Let's see what we got. What we got. What we got. We got current events, Sean. I'm gonna pull it back up, man, so you can
Yes, sir.
get into the current event. All right, there you
Yeah,
go.
man. Yeah, bro. Yeah, here we go. We gotta hit on this, man. Gotta hit on this. So we have Carolyn Bryant, 1955, the white woman that claimed that 14-year-old Emmett Till, a black boy, made a sexual advance towards her in the store in Mississippi. Till was later brutally beaten, shot, maimed, killed by Carolyn's husband and his half brother in retaliation for the alleged heavy quotations advances. Right, years later, in 2017, she admitted that she lied about the incident and that Till never made an advance toward her. The admission came in an interview with historian Timothy Tyson, who was researching the book about the case. Carolyn stated that she fabricated the story because she was afraid of the consequences of her husband finding out she had an interaction with a black boy, right? So, for those that don't know, she died earlier this week. It made big news that she finally died. She was like 84, 85 years old. And for those that don't know, the Till movie came out earlier this year.
Y'all,
You guys
please
want
be
to check that
quiet,
out?
please.
Say it again.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, man. I'm sorry.
Nah, the Till movie came out earlier this year. Please go and see it. Awesome job done by the whole cast and the crew. And we need more people. Some folks say, man, why they keep making these movies about The Butler and 12 Years and Django and Will Smith did Emancipation, right? But we need more of the young generation to see and digest and understand these stories because unfortunately, we see all these schools taking the books out. Schools taking the books out. So if the only way you're gonna see it is via these streaming platforms, go on Hulu, go on Netflix, whatever you got, and let your family see these stories and then get the books to go along with it. As a whole family study right there. Watch the movie, then get the books and have a whole family discussion about these situations. So I want to highlight that in today's current events. She just died. I would never disrespect somebody that's dead. I'm not that kind of person. Even though she did what she did, I am not going to disrespect and talk about dead people. But it is highly unfair. That man got his life taken at 14. He's a baby, 14 years old, and she lived a quote unquote full life. That's horrible. And there is a book out there. I can't remember the name of the book, Kofi, but whenever she's definitely confessing to how much she lied. I've been wanting to get that book for a long time now, matter of fact.
Yeah, man. It took me a minute to watch the movie. I'll say it was I liked it. The movie. It was an excellent movie.
Yes.
My wife and the kids, they looked at it way before I looked at it, man. I told them I wasn't gonna look at it, but I eventually checked it out. I enjoyed the movie, man. But man, it was sad, man, and it took all those years for that lady to finally come and said that she told a lie, man. She
Let
told
me,
a
let me
lie.
ask you a question, Kofi, being in Mississippi. Whenever you was a young man in school and everything growing up and all that, like how much was that actually talked about at school? How much was y'all given about that?
Be honest with you, I never heard about the incident of Emmett Till in school,
Are you
and
serious, bro?
I'm honest. I'm being honest with you. I mean,
Kofi.
we had minority studies, we
Uh-huh.
had government, where
Yeah.
they talked about certain things, but we
See,
black minorities, we never talked about it in that. We never
man,
talked about it in government and other classes.
this is why these movies and these stories are important, bro. Some people say, why we keep on beating the dead horse talking about this old stuff? This man is from this state. One of the most craziest atrocities in American history has happened. And that man just told me he never heard that in school.
Yep.
Now, I know Chicago guys because Emmett Till for Chicago, we all know that. I know Chicago guys that didn't know Emmett Till until guess when, Kofi? Whenever Lil Wayne mentioned Emmett Till in the song, I'm being serious.
That's
Whenever Lil
crazy.
Wayne mentioned Emmett Till in the song, you finally hearing about Emmett Till? I hate that. It makes me furious sometimes, Kofi. But it's true.
Yeah.
Whenever Beyonce finally wearing the Black Panther, the black leather vest and the beret and all that, then the whole world on Angela Davis, the whole world on Afina Shakur, Sada Shakur, because Beyonce did a 5-minute halftime performance.
Yeah. And
somebody getting the formation,
right.
and you find him the black. It just makes me
Yep.
upset sometimes, bro.
Right. And even her video, I don't know, with all the yellow on, she done like I think maybe 2 or 3 videos, and where she's honoring
Yeah, she do her thing.
the Yoruba culture, right? So
Yeah,
she's
she get it
embracing
in.
some of the
That's
Orisha,
that lemonade.
right? The lemonade video, and after that, more people, more people, now want to embrace it or go. I don't know. I hate that they learning about these things through some of these entertainers, but I guess it's a good thing.
It is.
In a way, you know what I'm saying?
It is.
And they teaching directly or and indirectly, whether they know it or not, man, with these songs and stuff.
That's why, whenever Kyrie Irving had the whole Kyrie Irving thing late last year, whenever that was, it was unfortunate what happened. But unfortunately, it take a person like Kyrie Irving to post some of his books he reading and saying certain things on the platform. Not a whole world all of a sudden want to read about the Hebrew Israelites or read about this, read about that. That's all old stuff for most of us in this room. That's 20, 30 years back in the day, whatever. But if that's what it takes for y'all to wake up, so be it. If it take Kanye West to say certain things, so be it, bro.
Yeah.
So be it.
Yep. And my part is the rapper Pras found guilty on all 10 counts of international fraud trial. But y'all don't know who Pras was a member of the Fugees, right?
Fugees, baby.
Right, with the Fugees, right? And I hadn't heard nothing from him. And the last time I heard something about Pras was in I think him having a dispute against Wyclef when Wyclef was trying to run for president in Haiti many years ago. And but he's in the newspaper now. Washington Grammy winning hip hop star Michael was found guilty of 10 counts related to what persecutors call a clandestine foreign influence campaign scheme funded by wealthy Malaysian financier to peddle influencer in the United States. This week long trial saw witness like Leonardo DiCaprio and former Attorney General Jeff Sessions takes the stand and testify under oath. Prosecutors allege at the trial that Fuji founder immersed himself in American politics at the behest of Lo Jahid Jaho, also known as Jeholo, who paid him millions to help launder money. Low handled alleged embezzle forms a state-owned investment found in his home country. The alleged scheme involved payments to Barack Obama 2012 presidential re-election campaign in effort to convince the Trump administrator to extradite a Chinese nationality. I'm not going to read this entire article. It's from the CBS News, but just the other day, Pras got found guilty on 10 counts, right? You know what I'm saying? Related to international fraud. And this guy, if you finish reading what's the name, they supposed to have been funding the Barack Obama campaign, such as other things that he was embezzling of money from Malaysia, right? And I think he paid Pras to help him. I think I think through the article, I think Pras received about $25 million uh through this whole thing, man. So I mean, I hate to hear that for the brother. Go ahead.
One of my sisters last night showed me an actual whole entire book on this subject matter.
Mm-hmm.
And like you just said, Leonardo DiCaprio, it's a lot of names thrown around in this whole thing, bro. Tom Cruise, the who's who, right? But we all know, I would imagine at this point, a lot of these millionaires and celebrities and billionaires, they all in bed with each other, bro.
Mm-hmm.
It go way beyond Prize.
Yeah.
He's just the one that's the headline, but all these folks on different levels are in bed with this stuff, man. We all know they all one hand wash the other, you know what I mean? He probably pissed somebody off up high.
Yeah.
And it threw him in that water.
Threw him in that water, man. And the other guy, I read something where he was on the run, and then I read something that I need to go back, but don't quote me on it. I think he turned on Props, if I'm not mistaken. But don't quote me on that. I have to go back. I was trying to further do some investigation last night, and it was late, so I can't quite remember exactly what this other article was telling me. But go check that article out, man, or just Google Pras found guilty on 10 counts of fraud, and that CBS uh, article will pop up, and it goes into full details of what he was charged in, and
Now,
found guilty.
this is totally not related. I'm asking the question, not being funny. Wasn't Wyclef John supposed to be like caught up on some fraud stuff with like the Haiti relief stuff whenever they had the big old earthquake in Haiti or whatever?
Yeah.
And they had like the Red Cross or somebody, one of these people.
Yeah, that was around the same time he was Wyclef was trying to run for president. Yeah, that was around the same.
And didn't they have something with Akon with some other stuff too with Akon?
Oh, I don't know.
I know a lot of these guys that's doing different things, in different places. It be some other things going on in the background, man. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, I don't know.
Kind of weird.
I don't know, but that I don't know a lot. I kind of like some of the stuff that Akon is doing, far as where he's from, right? But
yeah. So do I.
With him doing certain things and bringing certain things to his hometown in Africa, you got people that's that slandering his name, saying he's stealing and doing this and that and the third. But I don't know. All I do is I just see some of the things, right? And I know he's in development of trying to build a city.
That's right.
Over there, Akon City.
Yeah, their own currency and everything. Their own currency.
Yep, better technology, all this type of stuff. So if he gets that off the ground, I commend him for that, right? If he does, and I know he have multiple land. I know for years he's been telling us to go buy some land up in Africa. It's that land is worth more. It's gonna be worth more than anywhere in the world. It's already is, to be honest with you.
To go full circle real quick, I mentioned Geronimo Pratt early in the conversation. Geronimo Pratt had a house here in Morgan City, Louisiana. Geronimo Pratt had a house in Africa.
Mm-hmm. All right.
They was on that.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. A lot of
they was on that.
A lot of
had houses, you know what I'm saying, in different parts of Africa.
Right. A lot of the greats that we studied, so a lot of the great ancestors we study had property in Africa, or even eventually left America and moved to Africa. There's many of our scholars, our teachers, boys, revolutionaries. Yeah, a lot of us. Kwame Ture, a lot of our great ancestors moved to Africa, or had land over there in Africa. So let's move on to the last segment, man, of the podcast, man, and that is the woman segment, right? So
yeah, man, come on, bro, come on.
Right. So I'm gonna pull this back up. This is the last segment. So we always gonna do something where we honor some woman, right? We gotta do it. We gotta get back into that. We always talk about the men, and I kind of understand that, because we've been indoctrinated that this is a man's world. The man is the head of the household. God created man, and man is above woman. These crazy ideologies and perceptions that we have, right? So I want to and honor Rickety Almond, right? Some of the people that's in the chat, right? They know who Rickety Almond and they are familiar with Rickety Almond, right? Uh, so Rickety Almond is a chematologist. Even though I don't like that word, but we don't go with chematologist, linguistic priest, director of the Institution of Kemetic Philosophy, Philology, wife and mother and three daughters. Rickety Almond has taught Medu Necher since 1980. She is much in demand lecturer on various topics related to Kemet and has lectured in the United States, Europe, and Africa. Rickety is the author of several publications, including Writing Systems of the Medu Neter, Kemet Nang Book, The Kemetic Calendar Project, Life, a Life-Centered Life Living Ma'at, the Majet Waffle Medu Neter Conversation Book, and the article published in the Journal of African Civilization. She is also contributor to the the ASCAP African World History Project. Among her other works are two unpublished translations from French to English by the late great Dr. Sheikh Anta Diop. Uh, Rickety Amin studied Egyptian hieroglyphs in the PhD program at the University of Chicago Oriental Institution, Departments of Near Eastern Studies under Dr. Edward Winty, Dr. Claude Barra, and Dr. Helen Kantar. She also studied Chinese, French, German, Hebrew, and other African languages at the University of Illinois and the Spectrum College. She is proficient in reading the ancient language, the ancient language, right? So here is a picture of Rickety Almond, and I've been knowing about Rickety Almond for a long time. I have her life-centered life of my art book, her uh, Major Waffle Meta Nature conversation book. I have a writing system of Meta Nature book, right? I also, quoted her in a life-centered life of living my art and one of my publications, my beautiful lessons about Kimoyo. But I've been knowing about her for a long time, but I did not know that she studied Chinese, French, German, and the Hebrew language, right? So she's, not only a scholar in the Meta Nature, but she's also, studied the Meta Nature, right? But she's also studied Chinese, Hebrew, German, and French as well, right? So that's my part. And let's move on to so again, y'all, let's honor Rickety Almond.
Yes, sir, for sure. In this particular episode, I want to honor Afeni Shakur, right? Officially born Alice Faye Williams. We all know her as the mother of Tupac Shakur, right? It's a brand new documentary out right now on Hulu. They released 3 episodes. You got to go and see it. It's called Dear Mama. But through watching that series, it really made me want to dig up all my old Black Panther books and get more Black Panther books and get definitely more entrenched back into that kind of mindset via watching how powerful Afeni Shakur was to the Black Panther movement, how brilliant she was, how brilliant they were as an organization. I want to go back and tap into that. And that's how I was reading the Geronimo Pratt book again last night because of Afeni Shakur and because of the Black Panther Party and everything like that. So I want to highlight her in this week's women's section of this, honoring women. Besides being Tupac's mother, man, she played a prominent role in the Panther 21, these people that went to jail wrongfully accused, right? And Afeni Shakur was not a trained lawyer, went up there and represented them beautifully, wonderfully, and did her thing, man, just showing how wise she was, how much leadership she had. And almost all the guys in the documentary talk about how much she was a strong-willed woman, brilliant woman, military-minded, you name it, man. So I definitely want to highlight Afeni Shakur for this segment's honoring women.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And we got to do more than that, man. We got to start honoring our women. I know We talk a
Yes.
lot about the men, the men, but there are a lot of women who have
Amazing.
major
Come on.
contributions,
Come on.
right? Right.
Come
So we gotta highlight. So
Let me
each. Oh, go
let me
ahead,
tell
go
y'all.
ahead.
Let me tell y'all something I did in my personal life about 2 years ago. I told myself, so every year I don't really have a reading goal as far as like 100 books or 50 books as far as the number. I have a theme. So 2 years ago, I told myself I'm gonna study the phenomenal unsung hero women that we have. So a lot of our heroes, I was studying their wives, right? I'm studying Betty Shabazz. I'm
Mm,
studying Winnie Mandela. I'm
mm-hmm.
studying Paul Robeson's wife. I can never say her name correctly. I'm studying her. I'm studying all the women. I'm studying Mary Church Terrell because I admire her daddy, Robert Church, right there in Memphis down the highway. I'm reading about Mary Church Terrell. I'm reading Nanny Helen Burroughs. I can go on and on. But I took 2 years and really made myself focus on women in our culture making moves. Fannie Lou Hamer, you name it, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So that we appreciate y'all
Yes.
for tuning in, man. I
Yes.
appreciate everybody
Yes.
for tuning in, man. This is our first episode of the Griot Podcast.
Yes.
So we'll be doing the visual and then we'll have the audio.
Yes. The
So
audio coming.
yes, yeah, so hopefully we'll have the audio available tomorrow or someday,
Yep.
one day this week we'll have the
We'll put the
audio
links
with you
out.
so
Mhm.
you can go check it out
Yep.
on Spotify. So we'll be
And
putting the
Anchor.
links in there and
Mhm.
Anchor. So it'll be on
And
Spotify and Anchor if you want to go
yep.
check us out. While you on the go,
Yep.
while you cleaning up the house, while you
Mhm.
may be sitting at your office space, man, or
Yep.
wherever you'll be able to listen. For those who want to look at the visuals, they can come here and watch it. This Griot podcast is going to include 10 episodes. Go ahead, my brother.
Yes. No, I just wanted to highlight that some I always take pride in on the Sean P page, my own individual page, but what we just did for all the parents out there listening, it's not derogatory, it's not nothing disrespectful, it's nothing that your children can't hear, it's nothing that your parents can't hear. So I pride myself on making content. You could play at work, you could play it in a public setting and not be worried about somebody cursing and saying something crazy and obnoxious. You can play it. It's good content. It's positive content. It's educational. What's not to love about
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir, man. Before let me do this. I want to take this off here. Uh, let me see if it'll come off there. So I want to let the folks see your shirt, man. I want to let
it?
them know
Okay.
where they can
Yeah.
get the shirt.
Oh, man, you got the merch.
Right.
Griots,
All right.
baby.
So this is the
Griots
Griot.
Podcast.
Griot Podcast. If you want a Griot Podcast shirt, just go to Emboca Family Connect Apparel and go down, or just go in the search bar when you go to Griot Family Connect Apparel. Type in the Griots, and you will see the shirt pop up. The Griot Podcast t-shirts.
Oh,
They are available now. If you want Griot Podcast t-shirt, man. So again, we appreciate y'all for tuning in to the Griot Podcast
yes.
episode 1,
One.
the beginning.
Come on,
So
man.
so
Should we tell them right now, Kofi, or keep it a secret? Should we tell them or keep it a secret?
go ahead, go ahead.
No, I just wanted to say that we plan on bringing in some amazing guests to the show in the future.
Mhm.
And they're gonna be talking about being a griot. They're gonna be talking about storytelling, talking about writing,
Mhm.
and all kind of things like that, man. So I look forward to the future shows and what we're gonna do with it, how it evolves, how it grows, and keep on growing with us, man.
Yes, yes, sir. Yes, sir. So this is a safe space over here.
Safe space. Come on now.
So again, like you said, the whole family can check out the
Yes,
show.
yes.
It won't be no negativity on the podcast over
No.
here. So, man, again, we appreciate y'all for
Man.
listening
Thank
to the
y'all. Thank
Our
y'all.
Podcast episode 1.
Episode one.
Uh the beginning,
Yes.
and I'm gonna give out my Kofi Piesie on Facebook, Kofi Piesie on Instagram, Kofi Piesie on TikTok. Give out your handles, man.
Yes, sir. I am Seanathan the Griot, Polidore. That's on Facebook. That's on Instagram. On TikTok is Seanathan40 because I am 41 years old. And I couldn't put the whole thing on the Instagram, on the TikTok. So Seanathan40 on TikTok. But Instagram, my major platform, SeanathanTheGriot.com. I'm always on there weekly, going live probably 4 or 5 times a week. I interview amazing authors, illustrators, athletes, you name it, man. So keep it informative, keep it positive. Kid tested, mother approved, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So that concludes the Griots podcast. We'll see y'all next month. This will be
Next month, man. Come on now.
we'll be shooting once a month. So we'll see y'all next month and be looking forward within a day or two on Spotify and Anchor. We out of here.
Peace.
Peace.